Hey guys, welcome back for another day of Back to Homeschool Week. Today I am sharing my kids' assigned reading for this year and giving you an overview of how I do assigned reading with my kids, specifically as they get older. This is one that I've never done a formal video on specifically, but I get a lot of questions about it, and so I thought it would be nice to have one video that answers a lot of those questions, and maybe it'll give you guys some inspiration for a fun way to kick off back to school reading in your home. So if you are new around here, welcome. My name is Abby. I'm a homeschool mom of 5 kids from preschool, the 3-year-old going into preschool this year, all the way up to a junior in high school. And we have homeschooled all of them from the very beginning. So today I am sharing all about their assigned reading, but before I do, as I have every other day in this Back to Homeschool Week, I have a giveaway for you from a company that we love and use in our home. So if you guys are interested in today's giveaway, then go ahead and stick around. Today's video is in partnership with Redefining School. We are heading into our 4th year of using Redefining School in our homeschool. Technically our 5th if you count the very first year where we tried the spring sampler courses that she offered. Mindy, or I should say Dr. Mindy, she's very highly educated. She also has over 20 years of teaching experience, so she's bringing all that to the table for your kids. She is a gifted and passionate middle school specific teacher. She's created some incredible literature courses for the middle and high school mind, and they're so engaging. I have seen her just absolutely unlock my kids' potential, and I mean that in all seriousness. She has really made my kids just come alive in their understanding and desire to read and write and just enjoy good books, good literature, good poetry. I credit her for my oldest being able to transition into college courses so easily, especially using different formatting styles and writing styles. She started her college classes this summer, and she said it's just so much like her C.S. Lewis course was with Redefining School last semester, so that was a blessing that I wasn't even expecting. My boys are both doing her online middle and high school literature survey. She's got a few different offerings in those areas, but today we're talking about her writing classes and her literature circles, because one of you guys are going to win a literature circle or writing class of choice. Mindy's writing courses are self-paced, and instead of having small group live classes, you're able to meet one-on-one with Miss Mindy to discuss your writing 2 times during your 8-week course. You can sign up for any writing course at any time and work at your own pace through the modules. She has a few different offerings. She has elements of writing, which is just a way to introduce your child to elements of good writing. It covers audience, author's purpose, the writing process like pre-writing strategies, drafting, revising, and editing. She also offers Creative Writing 1 and Creative Writing 2, essay writing, which covers persuasive, literary analysis, and expository essay writing, and Research Writing 1 and Research Writing 2. So those are really incredible courses, and like I said, they're self-paced, but each one of them will take about 8 weeks or so. And then another really cool offering she has on her website are her literature circles, which these are uniquely structured collaborative ways to approach novel studies. You get to read one book together and work in a small group setting while you study your novel. And she has a few different themes. For example, a few different books that are in a biblical setting or storylines. So in that literature circle, the students will study books with a biblical storyline or setting. She has a rite of passage study where they'll study books in which the protagonist experiences a rite of passage. She has a first in a series study, which I think is really interesting, where they'll read the first book in a series. And so one winner today is going to get to choose a writing course or literature circle of choice. Make sure you check out her website to look at all these different offerings. And on top of this giveaway, I have a discount code for you all, and I will put that in the description box down below as well. So while her middle school literature survey is full for this upcoming year and her really neat high school course offerings are completely full for the upcoming year, these writing courses and these literature circles are available to sign up for anytime. So make sure you check that out. And if you're interested in any of her middle or high school year-long courses, make sure that you sign up for her emails so that you are ready to jump on board when those open up, because they only open up for a short time each year and they fill up pretty quickly. So thank you so much, Redefining School, for partnering with me on today's Back to Homeschool giveaway. Good luck, guys. I'm really interested to see what the winner chooses between all the different offerings, the different writing courses, and the different literature circles. Good luck, guys. Thank you so much, Mindy, for offering that giveaway today. I'm really excited to see who wins that and what you guys choose to do with that prize. We have been huge fans of Redefining School from the very beginning, and side note, Mindy is a personal, real-life friend of mine who I've just had the privilege of watching their family grow from the time their boys were very young. I met her when my 14-year-old was 6 weeks old. So she is just a blessing of a friend, and what you see is what you get. The Mindy that you see on social media, that sweet Mindy who cares so much about her students, specifically in those middle grades, and who loves the Lord and wants to weave him into the way that, that her students view truth. That's who she really is in real life. She's orderly, but so loving, and it's just amazing. Like she's the like the best friend a girl can ask for. So I love that you guys get to share that friendship too if your students take her classes, and my kids have been blessed tremendously by being her students, as well as to have her in their life to look up to. So I'm really looking forward to seeing who wins and what you guys do with that prize. You will not be disappointed. So we are going to start with kind of just in general, how I do assigned reading in our home. I'm big on it. I've always loved assigned reading. I've always loved summer reading with my kids and quiet time reading during the school year, and drop everything and read time in our homeschool. And we're big on reading around here. And part of the reason why I love the Charlotte Mason method, or was drawn to it initially, was because of the amount of reading and the emphasis on the book specifically. So in the elementary grades, my kids have a book at a time that they're reading, and usually they're reading that during their quiet time, which is a time typically after lunch, or sometimes, I'll tell them to go, okay, now I need you to go to read your book for a little bit while I'm working with these kids. And they also enjoy, get to enjoy our family reading, because any books that I read aloud to our family are books that can include the younger kids. So the Little House series, the Chronicles of Narnia series, a lot of things like that we cycle through when our kids are at certain ages, and everybody gets to listen to it again. So they benefit from one assigned book at a time, and our family read aloud. Those assigned books, for the most part, I choose from various book lists, either on Ambleside or good online lists, recommendations. Simply Charlotte Mason has some really good book lists as well. I also love Honey for a Child's Heart. This is like an older version of it that I've had forever. I know there's an updated version. I've got like the Read Aloud Handbook, and then I love Amber O'Neill Johnston's book list as well. So I find a lot of books from those places. We also are big fans of 5 in a Row, so picture books stay in their lives all through elementary school. They never outgrow a picture book here at our house. So then I think the thing that most people want to know is what happens when they get to 6th grade, because I talk a lot about 6th grade and how they start reading the YWAM books, and then a lot of our curriculum for them with how I bulk up their history curriculum. I start including historical fiction, but they also are just reading books for fun, their own books that they choose, books that I choose to assign, like maybe books that on different virtues or characters that I really want them to take to heart. And so as far as that goes, once they're in 6th grade, they get assigned or no, they get to choose. I have a ton of the YWAM Heroes books. I have them choose one per month. And the reason for that is because I really love the YWAM books, but I just couldn't fit one more thing in that I was reading aloud to them. And so when my daughter was going into 6th grade, I just decided to do it this way, and that this would be kind of our intro to some more formal writing for her. And then we've stuck with that. So now, and it's no surprise that based on that she actually wants to be a missionary now, and that's what she's pursuing in her life. And I think I owe a lot of the credit for that to the different missionary studies that she's been reading all these years. But the YWAM Christian Heroes Then and Now and Heroes of History books are biographies of different characters throughout history. And so I'll have them choose one each month. I'm showing right now a bundle that I have with them. I will link this below if you're interested. Jessie curated this bundle. So this is very like boy, World War II heavy reading. But we have all different great characters throughout history on our shelves. I think we almost have every book at this point. And they choose one at the beginning of that month, and they read that throughout the month. And at the end of the month, they give me a written narration, kind of like a character report on that missionary or hero of history. And it starts out really more just like a written narration. They take notes throughout the month as they're reading and then fine tune it. But as they get older, those are the writings that I have used to help develop their actual composition. So if you've read Karen Glass's book, if you haven't, I'll link that down below as well. But she teaches you how to take a written narration and make it into a formal essay. And so I use the YWAM reports that they have a lot of time for that. On top of these, they also have a historical fiction book that helps me bulk up because we do history as a family. So I'm using a curriculum that's more for elementary or early middle school ages. I add a ton of assigned reading, historical fiction or nonfiction, to really help bulk up what their history lessons include and kind of put all that together to give them their history credits in high school. And so those book lists I also find online. I kind of have my little system. I've got a bunch of bins in storage that have that go along with each Story of the World cycle. Some of them are books that are recommended in Story of the World, but most of them I've found on my own. And so I've got 4 different bins that go along with each of the Story of the World books. I've got an ancient times bin, a medieval times or Middle Ages, early modern, and then the modern world, and different books that go along with events in history, living books. And so as far as that goes, how I choose those, I just pull that bin out. Actually just had John pull that out for me recently, and I laid it all out, and I'm like, who has or hasn't read that book yet? And essentially, once they graduate from my homeschool, they will have all read all the same books. But I have my tried and true history books. So they're reading a YWAM book every month. They're always reading through a historical fiction or nonfiction book that's assigned to them. And then they also have a book that they're reading. I say like for pleasure, like a book that they're just reading for pleasure, but a lot of those are assigned by me. Sometimes they're books that they found on their own, or like last year, my oldest was taking Redefining School's C.S. Lewis course, so she was reading a lot of C.S. Lewis, and then some of them are like book clubs and things like that. So my kids are reading a lot, but if you're familiar with the Charlotte Mason method, that's not abnormal, and they kind of compartmentalize pretty well because they've always done things this way. And so, well, one of them may be, I have a book log that I made on Canva, and I will link the video up here that shows that book log if you're interested in what that looks like. But that's how I have them write at the top of that log the title of the book, and then they write how many pages and chapters they read each day, and then whether or not they did a narration that day, and then they keep their narrations behind that page. And they have 1 page per book that they keep in a binder. So it's not just like a standard book log where like they're logging 6 different books each day. It's 1 sheet per book, and that helps them keep organized. But some of my kids will be working on their historical fiction book for maybe a week at a time, and then switch once they finish that book to their assigned reading book, or switch to whatever book they're reading. Say if they were in a co-op that was reading a book, or they're reading a book with their friends or something, and they'll read that one for a week, and then they'll switch back to the historical fiction. The YWAM books aren't often read during their quiet time. These are kind of like an assigned subject in school. And so they're reading this almost like a textbook type of a book. And so if you're familiar with that, you know, you just kind of read, you go from your science textbook to your history textbook to your language arts textbook, and in school, that's how it goes. And it's no different for us when we add these things in. So they're able to keep everything separate, and then I have organization to keep it all separate as well. So now to the fun part. The way that I help them put all of their book lists together and make their assignments for the year. I already showed Honey for a Child's Heart. I also have Honey for a Teen Heart, and then all of the other resources that I named, including Ambleside and Amber O'Neill Johnston's book list, which I found that one a few years ago, and I really like that one. That's Heritage Mom. Tons of great book lists that you can find online. Sonia Schaefer has a bunch of recommendations. There's a million different resources that I use. I can't just say I pull from one place, but I will, again, I also have like a couple of storage bins, one for early readers, one for elementary readers, and then one for middle and high school that has like some of the classics like Johnny Tremaine in there, and my younger ones, there's like Charlotte's Web and all of those books that they all kind of read around elementary age. And so I pull those out each summer as well and take a survey of what each of them have or haven't read, along with some new books that I've found or book lists that I've found, and I will do a book tasting. And I showed this in a summer reading video a couple years ago. I will also link that video up here. See why I needed to make this in one video. I've got a ton of different, like spread thin, like a bunch of different ways you can kind of pick up on the way we do assigned reading, but I've never actually done a video. So the book tasting was an idea that I learned from Mindy from Redefining School when she was in our co-op, the very first year that we had a co-op. And it's just a way for the kids to actually put their hands on the books, read the summary, get a feel for how what the author's writing style is, getting a peek even at like how the book reads. Are the words tiny? Is the print small? Are there illustrations? Whatever. And so what I do is I make it like a themed, like a diner theme was the one I did a couple of years ago. This summer I did like a lemonade theme, and I will put all the books out and then have like a themed treat and a themed little, like making it look like a diner, and then I give them a menu, and they'll use that menu to pick up each book that I have laid out on the table, look through it, and then rate the book 1 through 10 on how interested they are in it, and they have a place to take little notes, and then I'll compile all of their individual little menus, and I will assign their books in order based on how they filled out their menu. So each kid will have, 10 or 12 different books laid out in front of them. I call them in one at a time to do it. They'll have 10 or 12 little books laid out. They'll take a peek at each of them. I'll give them, say, 20 minutes or so to have their little snack and look at the books, jot down their first initial thoughts. It doesn't give them time to get too into it, but just a taste, a little tease. And then they won't see the books again until I start assigning them the books. And then usually by like November, December, they're getting books that they're like, oh, I forgot about that. I wanted to read that one. And sometimes I'll choose the books they were least interested in to go right before a book they were really interested in, just to kind of keep that, just to sustain them, through the ones they really didn't necessarily love, but I wanted to assign to them, just so that they aren't reading like the ones they really wanted to read and then the ones that they would deem boring at the end, or vice versa. And I do that book tasting for all of their like reading for pleasure type of books versus their historical fiction, because those just get handed to them at the appropriate time. And then the YWAM books, they choose on the first school day of each month. And so that's their choice. So there's their choice on the YWAM books, my choice on the historical fiction, and then a little bit of like both of us choosing together on the book tasting idea, which is just their assigned reading for fun type of books. So for back to school, I did a apple themed diner book tasting. I made these menus, and just like I shared with you guys a couple of years ago when I did that summer reading book tasting. I created that like diner PDF and gave it to you guys to download if you'd like it. I also have this for you guys to download if you guys would like to do a little apple themed book tasting on your own. So I got some apple treats and made this apple menu and got them some apple ollipops and apple plates, and so it's like a little apple picnicky themed diner that we did. So I will go ahead and show you guys each of my kids' book tasting setup and some of the books that they're starting their year off with. I chose about 12 for each kid except for my youngest to look at and choose from. I stagger it different reading levels. I don't necessarily think that if you have a 6th grader who's reading at an 8th grade level that they always want to read an 8th grade level book. Sometimes they enjoy a 4th grade level book. And my 3rd grader, I've got a mixture of chapter books and picture books just to keep it fun and enjoyable. So if you guys want to see kind of what's on the docket first for them, I will show you a peek at each of their individual book tastings. But once they go through these 10 or 12 books, then we'll do it again. We'll do a little book tasting in the spring. Some of them don't go through all the books because they end up getting a lot assigned to them from other groups, and so then they're just finishing off my list by the end of the year.
I watch you as you drive. Do you know I'm looking? And I can't help but smile. Do you know how much I love you? You put my favorite song on, I put my feet up, and we just sing along. And I can't help but feeling, just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together? If I could stop the time, don't you know that I would? 'Cause I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? Forever. 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 I watch you as you sleep. You don't know I'm looking. With you everything's complete. Do you know how much I love you? I put your favorite song on just to wake you up. When I dance around, I can't help but feeling, I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together? If I could stop the time, don't you know that I would? 'Cause I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? Forever. 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 I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together? If I could stop the time, don't you know that I would? 'Cause I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? Forever. 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 I watch you as you drive. Do you know I'm looking?
All right, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed that peek at what my kids are starting to read this school year. If you have any questions about the way that I do assigned reading in our home. You can leave those in the comments down below, and I will definitely try to go back through after this back to homeschool week is over and answer some of those questions. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what like your top 3 assigned reading books are this year for your kids, or books that your kids have really enjoyed. I always love a good recommendation, and I'm sure other people will love a recommendation as well. And thank you so much, Mindy with Redefining School, for partnering with me on today's video. I'm so excited to see who wins that giveaway, and I will see you guys again soon. Bye guys.